Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Friday Night Smackdown review. This is going to be a review of last night's edition of Smackdown, which was the July 24th edition. And of course, this was from the Performance Center in Orlando. And Smackdown last night, I thought it was an okay show. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a bad show by any means. But it was just an okay show. Of course, we had the bar fight between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, which originally was supposed to take place at Extreme Rules, the horror show, but WWE ended up moving it to SmackDown for this week. Overall, SmackDown was an okay show. So let's jump right into the review. So SmackDown opened up with Sasha and Bayley. Sasha and Bayley made their way out, and they got on the mic. Sasha and Bayley end up going on about how great they are, and that they declare that the women's evolution is over, and that the women's evolution started with them, and is going to be ending with them. So Sasha and Bayley end up saying that they introduced a new era, the era of Sasha and Bayley, the era of them. So they were saying how, the people at home and the fans will never be as good as them. So out came Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross was furious, and she was tired of what Sasha and Bayley were saying, and she ended up yelling at Sasha and Bayley about what they've done, and she ended up saying that their era is already over. And Sasha and Bayley were taunting Nikki Cross. Alexa Bliss wasn't sure about this because Nikki Cross was going wild. Nikki Cross ended up mentioning, having cracked ribs from Extreme Rules this past Sunday. She ends up saying that she wants another shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. She wants another shot at Bayley. So she wanted that shot to happen last night. So Bayley ended up joking around, ended up calling Alexa and Nikki sheep. She ended up saying that she won at Extreme Rules, and it was fair and square. And Bayley ended up announcing that Nikki Cross can have another shot at the title if she beats a former champion. So Bayley ended up telling Nikki Cross that she would have to have a match with her own best friend, Alexa Bliss, to get a shot at the title next week. So it was going to be Alexa versus Nikki. Winner of that match will get to face Bayley next week for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So when that was announced by Bayley, Nikki Cross ended up hesitating, and she ends up saying that they've got to do this. She then shoved Alexa down on the stage, and she went to the ring. And that was that. SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had Nikki Cross versus Alexa Bliss. This apparently was a okay match. We had Sasha and Bayley on commentary throughout the match, just goofing off on commentary. And Nikki Cross ended up getting the win, and she ended up rolling up Alexa Bliss. So Nikki Cross ends up winning. She gets another shot at the SmackDown Women's Championship. She gets to face Bayley next week. So there you go. It's going to be Bayley versus Nikki Cross next week. SmackDown Women's Championship is going to be on the line. overall, match itself, it was okay between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. So then we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross backstage. Alexa Bliss ended up saying to Nikki Cross that she deserved the win. She deserves this. They end up hugging it out. So Alexa then told Nikki Cross that it's time to focus so she can beat Bayley for the title. And Nikki Cross ended up agreeing with what Alexa had to say. So that was that. Then we had an episode of the Firefly Funhouse. And we had a look back of the Swamp match between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show. So we saw that. And then we went to Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. He ends up coming on the screen. He ends up joking about Braun Strowman being down in the bottom of the swamp and how it's 100% organic. So when Bray Wyatt was talking, he had his head lantern sitting on the table. He's then communicating with the head lantern. And Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he can't let Braun Strowman back out to have another chance, because it's his chance now. And it's him, of course, being the Fiend. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he has to be unleashed. So we saw, of course, flashes of the Fiend. Bray Wyatt then ended up laughing, waving goodbye. And that was that. But we all knew that at SummerSlam it's going to be Braun Strowman versus the Fiend. WWE set up this whole bridge for Braun Strowman, where, of course, he had to take on Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank, which we saw. Then, the Buzzards Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt, that we saw at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show. And now, at SummerSlam, we're going to be seeing Braun Strowman versus the Fiend. So, there you go. But, like the other Firefly Funhouse episode with Bray Wyatt there. Then we had Matt Riddle versus Tony Nese. This was a quick match. Matt Riddle ended up getting the win, delivered the Bro Derek to Tony Nese. There you go. Matt Riddle ends up winning. Post-match, Riddle then ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that he's kind of new here, so he doesn't know how this works, but he's going to give it a try. So Matt Riddle then ended up calling out Corbin. So Corbin ended up coming out. He ended up speaking from, of course, the stage. He was taking shots at Matt Riddle. He was going on about how Matt Riddle doesn't belong here and that he doesn't belong in his kingdom. So Corbin ended up going on and ended up saying that Matt Riddle just has that new car smell. And when that wears off, he'll just be like some frat boy with no shoes. Of course, here we go again with the shoes. So he ended up saying that, and Corbin ended up also saying that Matt Riddle looks like he just rolled out of bed. So Corbin ended up saying that Matt Riddle doesn't belong in a professional environment like Smackdown, and that he needs to go back to NXT, or he could be a top guy on 205 Live. Well, I'm not sure if anybody still watches 205 Live. The show was on for 30 minutes after SmackDown on the network. So how could he be a top guy on 205 Live? So Corbin ends up saying that he is so confident that Matt Riddle doesn't belong here, that he's officially putting out a king's ransom to anyone who can prove Matt Riddle doesn't belong here. So Matt Riddle ends up saying that Corbin has it all wrong. So Riddle ends up going on and says that Corbin is the next star on the Bro Show. So Matt Riddle ends up dropping the mic. Tony Nese is behind him. Matt Riddle ends up turning around and he drops Tony Nese with a kick, with a big kick. And that was that. There you go. Setting up for Matt Riddle versus Corbin. So we all knew it was going to happen. So we all knew it was coming. And then we had Miz TV, where the Miz and Morrison introduced Naomi. The only reason why that Naomi was on here is because of the Naomi Deserves Better hashtag. You know, with the fans wanting WWE to treat Naomi better and put her in some matches, get her on TV. So that's the only reason why that the Miz had her out as a guest, and she was out there forcefully. Naomi was out there forcefully because of this whole hashtag. You know, like, oh yeah, we got this hashtag out, this Naomi Deserves Better. Oh, let's put her on Miz TV. Let's forcefully throw her out there because, oh, this Naomi Deserves Better hashtag is popular online, so let's get her out. Let's get her out there to be a guest. So, I mean, you know, I agree with Naomi deserving better. She is, you know, very good in the ring. So, I mean, they need to have her on TV, feature her on TV more often, because she's been off TV for like 3 months. So all she was for 3 months was in catering. So let's put Naomi in some matches, more matches, you know, for the rest of the year. You know, feature her on TV more. That's why this whole hashtag Naomi Deserves Better is trending online. So they end up going on. They're doing this stupid thing where like they had like stars with Seth Rollins's image of him puking from Extreme Rules, the horror show, during his eye for an eye match with Rey Mysterio. And Lacey Evans came out, and Naomi ended up shoving Lacey Evans. And this is going to set up a match next week between Naomi and Lacey Evans. Now this whole thing was terrible. It was god awful. You had the Miz and Morrison in there dancing to Naomi's music, like awful. But next we had Big E backstage, and Kofi ends up walking out of a trainer's room. He ends up telling Big E that he will be out of action for 6 weeks, or maybe even more. So Big E ended up wanting Kofi to heal up. Kofi ended up saying that to Big E, that he's looking forward to spending time with his family. So they talk about focusing to get the Smackdown Tag Team Championships back, because of course Cesaro and Nakamura are the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions when they won it at Extreme Rules. So Kofi ended up saying that maybe the universe is trying to talk to them. He ended up saying that he and Xavier Woods are both out, and maybe that's Big E's time. So Kofi ended up going on and says it's all about Big E. It's all about Big E now, and him showing the world what he can do. So Big E ended up appreciating what Kofi had to say. Kofi tells Big E that he's earned this and that he deserves this, and he has the New Day's blessing. So that was that. So we're going to be seeing Big E as a singles competitor now, as a singles guy. So it's been a while since we've seen, Big E be a singles competitor away from the New Day, away from Kofi and Xavier Woods. So it's been a while. But we're eventually going to be seeing that. Now with Xavier and Kofi out. Xavier being out for a while, now Kofi's out. Now we had JBL hyping up the bar fight. He was going with Jeff Hardy to win the match. So we saw that. We saw JBL give his prediction for that bar fight. Then we had a fatal four-way number one contenders match. Chad Gable versus Drew Gulak versus Gran Metalik versus Lince Dorado. The winner of the match will get to face AJ Styles next week for the Intercontinental Championship. Styles was on commentary throughout this match, and the match itself is, in my opinion. But Gran Metalik ended up getting the win. He ended up pinning a elbow drop onto Chad Gable. There you go. Gran Metalik ends up winning the match. He's the new number one contender to face AJ Styles next week for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Styles is going to retain it anyway. You really think they're going to be putting the title on Gran Metalik? I'm like, why was this even done? Why was this fatal four-way even done? So post-match, Styles ended up getting into the ring. Metalik and Lince Dorado were talking. Styles ended up offering his hand out to Metalik for Metalik to shake it. Metalik then hesitated. Styles ended up slapping Metalik in the face. And so Metalik ended up coming back, ended up slapping Styles in his face. Metalik ended up sending Styles out to the floor. And then Metalik ended up picking up the Intercontinental Championship, and he raised it. So that was that. So we're going to be seeing that next week on Smackdown. So then it was announced that we are going to be seeing the Mandy Rose and Otis love story continue next Friday. Because both Mandy and Otis will be on SmackDown. I mean, Otis has been out. He hasn't even been shown. He's the Money in the Bank winner. He's holding the briefcase. So he holds the briefcase. You take him off TV for, like a month or so. Same with Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose hasn't even been on TV. Even Sonya Deville. You haven't seen Sonya Deville either. Is this because of maybe them not wanting to come in because of COVID? Or they probably had nothing for them at the moment. So, but we're going to be seeing Otis and Mandy Rose next week. So then we saw Kayla Braxton. She was backstage with Cesaro and Nakamura, the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Nakamura ended up bragging on putting Kofi through a table and hurting him, making him go splat. I had to do that in Nakamura's voice right there, but I know it was pretty bad. It's a pretty awful impression of Nakamura though, but I just had to do it. But Cesaro then ended up regretting not getting to put Big E through another table, hurting him. So they end up saying that they don't believe this is Big E's time. And they're not buying what Kofi had to say. So Nakamura ended up commenting on how they are going to make the other tag teams on SmackDown go splat. So they end up walking off. I mean, what other tag teams are there on SmackDown that you could have Nakamura and Cesaro face. The whole tag team division is awful on both shows, on both Raw and SmackDown. What other tag teams are there for Cesaro and Nakamura to face? You have Jimmy Uso of the Usos out. Jey Uso's only there. Heavy Machinery is been off TV. All you just have is Otis. Tucker, was only featured, I think, maybe like once. So, I mean, what other tag teams are there? But then we had the main event, Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy in the bar fight. And this bar looked really cool. Nice big bar that they had there, probably in Orlando. I think it was called Irish Shannon's. I guess it's in Orlando. So we saw Sheamus end up walking in, and we had his personal bartender there, and a referee, of course, was there. The bartender ends up saying that he hasn't seen Jeff Hardy yet. So Jeff Hardy ends up walking in. Sheamus ends up asking Jeff Hardy if he wants a drink to take the edge off. Of course, Jeff Hardy ended up passing on, having a drink, and Jeff ended up asking for a cup. So the referee ends up asking if they're ready to do this. Jeff Hardy ends up telling him he's only here to make the 3 count. And Jeff said that his brother had to delete his career. But tonight, he has to recover his. Jeff has to recover his. So Jeff ended up talking about how sobriety has changed him. And he ended up saying that Sheamus better be ready for anything. So Sheamus ended up telling Jeff Hardy that Jeff will never change. He ends up calling Jeff weak and pathetic. And as Sheamus ends up calling Jeff Hardy, of course, a pathetic junkie, as what Sheamus ends up calling the word junkie, a junkie. So Sheamus ends up getting ready. He's warned the bartender that Jeff Hardy doesn't like bartenders. And then we see Jeff Hardy throws a beer in Sheamus' face. And that's when the bar fight ended up going on. So they went all over the bar. They were knocking glasses and bottles off of the bar table. And it just went around. They went into the bathroom. And there was a point where Jeff ended up grabbing a ladder, ended up decking Sheamus with it. And the match had a commercial that played. Like, the match was still happening, and then it went to commercial. You could tell that this was filmed way before. This was filmed way before the show. So we had later on the bartender ends up getting involved. So Jeff Hardy was climbing up to the ladder. The bartender ends up attacking him. Jeff ends up coming off the ladder, decked the bartender, and Jeff ended up grabbing the bartender and powerbombed him through a table. And Sheamus ended up grabbing the hat that he had on earlier because Jeff Hardy was down and out. Sheamus ended up grabbing the hat, places it over Jeff Hardy's face, and we hear Sheamus ends up telling Jeff Hardy, "Sweet dreams, fella." And then we saw Sheamus ends up going back behind the bar, drinks a beer. Sheamus ends up drinking the beer, and Sheamus ends up limping back over, calls the referee to get ready for him to make the pin count. So Sheamus then removes the hat from Jeff Hardy's face. And then we see Jeff Hardy suddenly has a paint design on his face and a look in his eye. And he had like new contact lenses. And I thought the paint design on Jeff Hardy looked really cool. It was really awesome. So Jeff Hardy ended up dropping Sheamus end up climbing to the top of the ladder. Jeff Hardy then delivered a Swanton Bomb to the floor from the ladder onto Sheamus. Goes for the cover. There you go. Jeff Hardy end up winning the match. So Jeff Hardy ended up winning the bar fight. And post-match, you had Jeff Hardy stares straight ahead, and he ends up limping away. Sheamus is laid out on the bar floor. And that is how Smackdown ended. But I thought the bar fight was fine. I liked what I saw. Did I love it? No. But it was fine. It was fine. Hopefully this ends this feud between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Hopefully this is the end. I do not want to see any more of this Jeff Hardy and Sheamus feud if they decide to continue it. I hope this was the end. This bar fight put an end to this feud. But anyways, that was SmackDown. It was an okay show. Not a bad show. But anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. And until next video, I'll see you all later.